Hey, what's up everybody? True Boxing here. Thank you for coming back to get hit with the truth. So today's video is going to be the what's next on Dereck Chisora, the former world title challenger from the heavyweight division. He's an older fighter. He's coming off a tough 12-round split decision loss to Joseph Parker when they main evented a May 1st DAZN card. He actually fought a lot better than I thought. He kept putting the pressure on Parker. He hurt him with the very first punch he landed in the first round. And he landed some good shots the rest of the fight, but Parker just did too good of a job of moving side to side and using the angles. I thought Parker really boxed well. I didn't think it was close enough for a split decision, but I don't have a problem with 7-5 for Parker or 8-4. And there were some competitive rounds there where he was putting the pressure on. Parker was seemingly outlanding him and outboxing him, but he did put the pressure on and land some good shots. So it really just depends on how you score a fight and which way you saw it. But I personally thought Parker won the fight, like the judges did, but I didn't think it was as close as they scored it. But I'm not arguing saying it wasn't. I do think Dereck Chisora put on a performance like he did against Alexander Usyk, where he really fought better than people expected him to, and he really was competitive. So that's all that matters. Now, he's broken into the top 10 because of it, because of his two solid-ass performances. And now the big question is, what's next for Dereck Chisora following that loss? Chisora's been around a long time. Should he keep going? I personally think he should. Why not? He's a tough fighter. He can make some money still, and he's competitive in his bouts against top 10 fighters. So keep going. He might be able to pull something big off. You never know. So let's run him through the top 10 and see what's possibly next for him. We start with number 1, undefeated Tyson Fury, which I believe would be a third fight between the two. Fury's won the first 2 fights. This fight's not going to happen next, unless Fury just wants to throw Chisora a bone after say he knocks out Anthony Joshua when they fight in August, and then Joshua doesn't want to follow through with the proposed agreed upon rematch, because him and Joshua have agreed to a 2-fight deal. So say he doesn't want to go through with that fight, Tyson Fury doesn't, and Anthony Joshua doesn't want to go through with the rematch because Fury beat him, then would he fight Chisora? Possible, but I don't think so. I don't think it happens. Number 2 is Anthony Joshua. Joshua and Chisora have never thrown down. They've never fought. It's a domestic rivalry, but Joshua's fighting Fury. And now, again, I'll pose this. I think if Joshua were to knock out Tyson Fury in their first fight and Fury didn't want an immediate rematch, maybe Joshua would fight Chisora, but then I stop myself dead in the tracks because Joshua will likely fight Alexander Usyk next, or Andy Ruiz in a third fight. He has so many other options that make more sense. Why fight Dereck Chisora? So I just don't see that one either. Number 3 is Deontay Wilder. Now here's the thing about this fight. I think this fight's possible if Wilder doesn't get Andy Ruiz or Dillian White next, because those guys are kind of circling Deontay Wilder. Deontay Wilder's got to come back and shake off that rust. The question is, who does he want to do it against? And when is he going to do it? He hasn't fought since February of last year. Is he coming back in the summer? Would Chisora be ready for that fight? I think he might be. And I think Chisora would sign on the dotted line in a heartbeat for Wilder. And I think Wilder would go in fully confident that he would lay out Chisora. But it's a big payday, and Chisora does bring a lot of power. So I don't think it's going to happen, but I wouldn't completely rule it out either. Number 4 is Andy Ruiz Jr., the former unified champ. I wouldn't completely rule this fight out. And the reason why is I think Andy Ruiz is, coming off that performance against Chris Arreola, maybe he wants to take on another kind of B-level opposition before he steps up to the A-game guys. And Chisora's kind of on that verge. He's a gatekeeper at heavyweight. He's the kind of guy you do that against. But it's also a risky fight for Andy Ruiz. Ruiz did show that he's there to be hit, given his style. So would he want to roll the dice against Chisora? I don't see it. Number 5 is Dillian White, which would be a third fight between the two. Dillian White won a very close decision the first time. He was losing on points and knocked out Chisora cold in the 11th round of their rematch in, I believe it was November of 2019 or December. Would these two guys lock horns again? Would Dillian White be into it? I don't think so. What for? He's got other things lined up. Why take the risk and fight Chisora? Wouldn't make sense. He laid him out in the last fight. He doesn't have anything to prove. So unless their rivalry just gets the better of Dillian Whyte and it makes sense, which it doesn't, I don't see that one either. Number 6 is Alexander Usyk. Another rematch for Chisora. Usyk's not going to fight Chisora next. Usyk has a showdown likely against undefeated Joe Joyce, which would likely be for the WBO interim heavyweight title, with the winner to fight for the WBO title next or be upgraded. So Usyk already beat him last year. Nobody really complained. He got a unanimous decision. No sense for a rematch. Number 7 is Luis Ortiz. Now here's another interesting fight. Why not Chisora and Luis Ortiz if Andy Ruiz doesn't fight Luis Ortiz? That's one fight that I would love to see right there. If Andy Ruiz goes in another direction, doesn't want to fight Luis Ortiz, why not Luis Ortiz and Dereck Chisora? These are two guys. I think Chisora, it makes sense for him. Ortiz always wants a big name opponent. Why not? He's widely avoided. I think that fight makes sense a lot. I would love to see it. Number 8 is Joseph Parker, the former WBO champion. You know, I could see this fight. I could see him a rematch, but Parker likely is going to move into another direction. He's likely going to try to get, he's talking about possibly lining himself up for an eliminator for the IBF title, just to lock a title shot up. So I don't think Parker's going to give him a rematch. I think Parker feels like he won the fight. I do too. And I don't think it makes sense for Parker to fight Chisora again unless it's absolutely necessary, and it doesn't look like it is, to be honest. Otto Wallen is a guy I forgot earlier when I was going over Andy Ruiz. He's tied for 9th right now. I actually have a 4-way tie for 9th in this whole area. I got Alexander Povetkin, Dereck Chisora, Otto Wallen, and Michael Hunter, all tied for the same spot. Now, Chisora going against the other 3. Otto Wallen, maybe. You know, Otto Wallen's trying to make a name for himself, trying to move up the ranks more. He's coming off of a nice win in his last fight against Dominic Brazil, and he's already been in a ring with Tyson Fury in a fight some people think he won. So Otto Wallen trying to prove himself. Maybe Chisora gives him the time of day and they go at it. I'd like to see that. Alexander Povetkin. If Povetkin decides he wants to keep fighting, why not Chisora and Povetkin? It could be the battle of who's still got something left and got one more run in him. Now, Povetkin, I think, should retire, to be honest, but hey, if he decides he wants to keep fighting, who am I to say he can't fight? So I wouldn't completely rule that out. And then Michael Hunter, another fight. Why not? Michael Hunter just backed out of an IBF eliminator for whatever reason. I mean, if he really wants to fight big name fighters, you don't get a lot bigger than Chisora before the big dogs, and obviously the big dogs aren't fighting Michael Hunter. So I think Chisora could definitely potentially put himself in there with him too. So for Chisora, I think Chisora just needs to wait around and show interest, and I think he should get a top 10 guy to fight him. He's a beatable guy, obviously. He's lost to, Tyson Fury twice. He's lost to Dillian Whyte twice. He's lost to Alexander Usyk. That's 5. Joseph Parker is 6. But you know what? He is competitive and he fights hard, and he's not a pushover, and he's going to keep coming. So I think that's attractive for some of these guys, and I think that's what they're going to bank on. So for me, I think Chisora should, if he wants to keep fighting, should just keep himself lined up and show interest in some of these guys, and I think somebody in the top 10 will give him an opportunity. I'm hoping. So that's it. That's the what's next on former world title challenger Dereck Chisora from the heavyweight division. I hope you guys enjoyed it. True Boxing, you've been here with the truth.